Well, hello and welcome. It is great to be here today with Karen Bentham, who is the Executive Director of OASSIS. And OASSIS is a long-standing friend and partner of Laridae's because we've got something in common, which is we serve the nonprofit sector right here in Ontario. And so, Karen, it's a pleasure to have you here today.
Thanks, Jonathan. Happy to be here.
Great. So COVID, it's been an unusual, difficult, complex time to say the least for so many nonprofits and nonprofit leaders. When it comes to keeping staff healthy on the job well, maybe you can tell us a bit about OASSIS and what you offer employers across the province.
Sure. Thank you. That's a great question, and certainly one that's top of mind, I think, for our employers for sure. What we've been seeing at OASSIS, and we only work with not-for-profits, so it's particularly relevant for our audience, I think, is there's been a huge emphasis on managing leaves. So people coming and going from the organization as people have had to pivot their organizations to serve in different ways. And in some cases, they might have had to downsize some of their offerings because of restrictions and what have you, and the vulnerable populations they might be serving. So we've had to support been happy to support our clients through those leaves and just, keeping up on legislation and all the changes and what's permitted and what's not. So we've been a source of information, a bit of a clearinghouse for our members. So we've really tried to stay on top of what the government's doing and what kinds of supports are being offered during this time. The other piece that I would say definitely comes to mind for many of us is just the mental health piece. Benefit plans do have components that support mental health and provide options for folks that might be needing to access some of those services. And there's been a real emphasis with OASSIS and our partners, in particular Green Shield, to move as much into the virtual realm as possible. So that's things like access to doctors and nurse practitioners online, cognitive behavior therapy for mental health and people that might be struggling with other issues, virtual pharmacy. So making it really easy for people to access getting medication filled. Even if you can imagine it, virtual orthodontics. Virtual physiotherapy is a new platform that's just recently been offered. So the range of services is really impressive. And I think it's just made it easier for folks to tap into what they need at this time. So we've been really happy to provide as much of that as we can. And we've also really put some emphasis around training and education by offering topical webinars for our folks, things like ergonomics for working from home, financial planning at a time when maybe you're seeing some of your investments being hit hard, and what do you do with that? So, benefits and health, good health for Canadians is broader than just employee benefits. And so OASSIS has really tried to respond to those needs.
Thanks for that, Karen. That's really great. Imagine there's an executive director watching this who's wondering, it's time for me to go back out, learn more about what's out there in the marketplace. What could you tell them about OASSIS? You're obviously a nonprofit yourself. How do you kind of explain what you offer in terms of health benefits and the packages and stuff to prospective employers?
Always love to talk about that. As you said, we're not for profit ourselves. And so we're able to carve out that profit/commissions piece of the pricing on benefits. And I know more so than ever, our clients and the prospects that we're talking to are telling us that increases in funding have been far and few between over the last 8 to 10 years. So doing more with less is top of mind. So if we want benefits, comprehensive benefits for our employees to, promote retention and attracting good talent to our organization, benefits has to be part of that response, right? So affordability is really key, and sustainability. At OASSIS, we have certainly been challenged, as a lot of other benefit providers have been, around how can we keep our plans affordable and sustainable into the future when there's so many cost pressures on benefits, like expensive new drugs on the market and increasing long-term disability durations and some of those things. So we really do try to take as much work off the plates of our employers as we can by providing a lot of those supports in-house, disability coordination, wellness, client managers that are there to resource and share information with our clients. So we're really trying to be a one-stop shop for people, recognizing that many of the not-for-profits in Canada and Ontario are small. 8 to 10 employees is kind of the average range, right? So you have an organization with 8 to 10 employees, they don't have in-house expertise often around HR and benefits and things like that. So we want to be that for them. So I would suggest that if executive directors are out there looking for benefits, just to take a step back and think about what they really need for their organization, what boxes do they need to check, and then sourcing out a good partner that will meet those needs for them.
Oh, that's great. Final question, Karen. Costs are huge for the nonprofit sector. What kinds of things have you seen folks do to kind of manage those cost pressures? Are there creative things that people are doing? Are people, what's the latest out there on that?
There's some creative and some less creative ways that employers are addressing that. The low-hanging fruit, the easy thing to do is offload some of those costs from the employer to the employee. But in a sector that doesn't typically have higher salaries, that's really not ideal either, right? I mean,
Yeah.
We attract really good people to the sector, I think, in part because they want to do meaningful work, and that's important to them. And so certainly the not-for-profit sector has that in spades. But we also want to pay these people a decent living wage. And so offloading costs to the employees is really not advisable in my mind. So what other things can we do? We can look at plan design. We can look at getting the best value out of our plans. So there's a lot of frills in plans that people might not even think about that are nice to haves, but when the rubber meets the road, are they really critical services? I would say perhaps not. Things like dietitian coaching and access to pharmacy coaching, those have been shown to really make a difference in terms of health of employees. So having somebody to coach people along the way in terms of what can they look at in their plan to maybe realize some cost savings and maybe redirect funds elsewhere, and having a good partner that will do that with you, I would say is where you want to go with that.
Awesome. Well, thank you for stopping by today and bringing us up to date on all the latest from OASSIS. And thank you for all your important work that you offer to nonprofits across the province. And if anybody wants to get in touch with Karen to learn more about OASSIS, we will put all the contact info either below or on the side or wherever we're posting this. You'll be able to find it. You can always just Google OASSIS. So thanks very much, Karen, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you, Jonathan. And just to close, if anybody wants to reach out to me at any time, just with questions or maybe just needing someone to come alongside and help you on your journey to rediscovering your employee benefits plan, even if you're not interested in OASSIS in terms of what we offer, we're really happy to support people with the information and the know-how that we have. So don't hesitate to reach out.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Karen. Great.
Thanks, Jonathan. Bye-bye.